Yeah.
Oh man. But so I guess it's easy to say that you're kind of like out of our duo, you're more of the Sega guy and I'm more of the Nintendo guy, right? Is that fair to say?
Um, what I'll say is that I probably just know more about Sega.
Hmm.
I still love Nintendo. There are just Sega is what I started off with. I had
It's
to
your
pick up
roots.
Nintendo as I went. That's where my roots are. My
It's
roots are
opposite for
placed.
me. It's
Yeah.
opposite for me. So I picked up Nintendo when I was like 3, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I still vividly. I mean, we've talked about it before because the whole Fantasy Zone conversation. I was like, I remember playing Fantasy Zone as a kid, and because my parents 1 year for income tax, they got a Nintendo, and then it must have been like the year before the Super Nintendo came out, because I remember us not having that Nintendo very long, and then we got the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And but one of the games I remember playing nonstop, even me and my whenever I go to my cousin's house too, he had a Nintendo as well, was Super Mario 3.
Right.
And we just played and played Super Mario 3. It was just, we loved it. Like I think I remember Super Mario 3 more than I probably played Super Mario Bros, which is the first one, and Super Mario 2. I probably played those first, but I remember 3. Like 3 was my jam. Like
Mm-hmm.
I will ride and die with 3 being, I will say 3 is probably one of it's my best, like my favorite of the original, like I would say 1, 2, 3 in world. I would say it's my favorite of the 4.
Okay.
But
I'm
no, go ahead.
okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. Uh, I consider Super Mario Brothers 3 like in my top 10 of best video games of all time.
It's like
There
a masterpiece.
there is no match to it. On
No.
the NES of the 8-bit saga, there's no comparison
There it
whatsoever.
The music, like music was done by Koji Kondo, and he even stated that it was, he even says it to this day, that it was the hardest soundtrack for him to come up with. It was the
Mhm.
hardest music. Uh, but the reason that we bring all of this up is because there was a video that came out about 3 days ago on the Gaming Historians YouTube channel, and it
Great
is
great channel.
very good channel, yes. And it's called The Story of Super Mario 3. And it's about a 50-minute like little documentary where they go into, we were talking about this before we started recording, all the information that you get from this isn't really for Chris and I, because we kind of know a lot of it, so a lot of it wasn't like new to us or anything, but it helped refresh our memory on a lot of stuff. But if you ever wanted to start like getting into like learning more about like game history and stuff, this is a great video to start off with. It tells you, it goes into the history of Nintendo starting off. It goes into the history of Mario 1, Mario 2, Doki Doki Panic. It goes into the team, the Shigeru Miyamoto. What was it called? Something. What was the team he was on? I watched the video. They say it like,
R&D 4?
there we go, R&D 4, and
Yeah.
but it was a team of 10 guys that were just like, there were guys like they hadn't even been working for Nintendo for a while. Some of them weren't, and like that was their dream. Like that was their dream back in like '87 to work with Nintendo,
Yeah.
and you just got this dream team that came together of Shigeru Miyamoto, Koji Kondo. I don't have the full list right here.
Takeshi Tetsuga,
There we go.
Toshihiko, Toshihiko Toshihiko, yeah, I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
Nakago,
Okay.
uh, Hiroyuki Kimura. It's a few others on there too.
Yeah. But you just got it. It kind of feels like it was like a Ghostbusters situation where you had everybody in the right room at the right time, and
Mhm.
except they were in the room a lot longer than anybody else probably was. These guys probably pulled like 12-hour to 15-hour. There were some times where it said in the documentary that Shigeru Miyamoto just worked all night and like worked
Yep.
and then worked right into the next day. I think a couple of the level designers were just like, yeah, it was really fun to be a part of Mario 3, but it was agonizing at points, like to create levels and stuff like that.
They would say that they would have to make their designs for a stage and then wait for the next day
Hmm.
to see it like actually implemented into the game. And then
Yep.
even then there are bugs in it.
Yep.
Like they would sit there with grid paper and just start tracing over their level designs, and then they'd have to put those bricks into the game. It's a fascinating thing. I love learning about debugging and video
Hmm.
game design, especially during the 8-bit and 16-bit era,
It's amazing.
because it's so simple.
Yeah.
Like comparatively, it is so simple, but it's the most complex bullshit with the hardware that they had.
Yeah. It's simple
Like,
now. Like
oh yeah,
you can go into Photoshop and just like make 8-bit sprites if you want to. But back then they were just like they didn't have that shit. Like
no,
we got to
it's
draw this.
like we're to the stage where we're emulating the same shit. Like I think Flash games, but Flash games is really more prevalent during the time that we were in like middle school, high school.
Yeah.
Like people going
Newground
into
days.
fucking Unity, actually making these type of
Yeah.
games, and just back then it would take them days
Yeah.
just
I
going
mean,
over the same.
shit. I've seen Ocarina of Time in Unity. Like I've seen crazy shit that people probably have not even put a quarter of the time that Miyamoto and his team had to put into this stuff.
And
But
one man teams.
yeah, yeah. This was a 10-man team, and you see people nowadays are like, I mean, we've met indie developers that creative games in Unity, and they're just like, yeah, I just did this in my free time, and you're just like, wow, this is crazy with the technology that we have.
Mhm.
But I will argue that it's even crazier to watch these game developers, and that's why these guys are legends of like video game developing, is because they made these masterpieces with basically caveman tools in the world of technology.
It's not only that, just the cultural impact that it's had,
Yeah.
not just necessarily in Japan, but also in the United States. Super Mario Brothers 3 proved that the Nintendo Entertainment System wasn't a fad toy. It
No.
was here to stay.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
because a lot of people would look at it, they're like, "Oh, it's a toy, so it's just gonna go away." It's like, no.
mhm.
I mean, at one point in America, when Super Mario Bros. 3 finally like came out in America, I believe it was in like 22%. I can't remember if it was the Nintendo or this game specifically was in 22% of all homes in the United States at the time.
The NES. It was the
That's
NES that was in 22% of all homes.
that's
1 in
crazy.
5,
That's
which
crazy.
that's a milestone in Japan, because they said 1 in 5 homes had an NES, had a Famicom.
Hmm.
But by the time that Super Mario Brothers 3 came over, remember they were also competing with the PC Engine,
Hmm.
or I should say the TurboGrafx 16 in the United States, which by the way, that's another super underrated console. Like everyone should be looking into that shit.
I
And
haven't
then
delved
two,
much into that.
dude, it's the PC Engine is way ahead of its time
Oh yeah.
when it started coming out. Uh, just in your free time, check out a few of the games that came out. We're talking like comparable to some arcade games.
Yeah, well,
Like
in
it's that
this
good.
video they show off some of the PC Engine games, and I was like,
Mhm.
damn, for at the time, that's really good. Like I think there was like a karate game or something like that. I was like, wow, that looks almost like halfway to like Mortal Kombat, like the way it looks and all that stuff. Like that looks real good.
Yeah,
Uh
and it was competing with that, and also the Sega Genesis was on the
yep.
horizon. I think Sega Genesis, I believe, came out in 1989.
Yes.
So they had to make a game that can hold over the market and have them wait for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. I don't think Sonic was created yet, but Sega was
No.
still doing their thing. But no, this game is just like it's really awesome. Like if you watch this video, like I said, go check out the Gaming Historian's YouTube channel. And this video just goes so in depth with it. It talks about the cultural impact that Mario 3 had. It talks about like why they made certain decisions, because in Japan, Mario 1 and 2 were beloved. Like they loved it. Even though Mario 2 got a little bit more harsh criticism because it was basic, it looked exactly like almost identical to the first game, and its difficulty curve was insane, and it's one of the reasons why it did not get greenlit to come into America, because they were just like they were not going to. The guy, I can't remember the guy's name that was approving the games and all that stuff, but he was like, "No, I can't greenlight this because it's too hard." Like it's good.
Fucking Howard Phillips.
That's right. He said it was. He's like, it's too hard. It's going to be a commercial disaster if we try to release this over here because no one's going to buy it. So actually, one of the guys on Miyamoto's team was working on Doki Doki Panic, and they just looked at it. They're like, oh, we could just make this into a Mario game, and that's how America's Mario 2 came to be.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I still refer to Howard Phillips as the first Salt Boy.
Yeah, because he couldn't do it. He couldn't beat it.
No, granted, Super Mario Brothers 2 is a hard fucking game.
It's hard. The first mushroom, you're so like not entitled, but your brain is so like built on like I need to get every mushroom in this game because either one, it's a power up, or two, it's going to give me an extra life. And the first mushroom in that game kills you.
Yeah,
you're just like you. As a child, I was like I have been lied to and cheated to. Like this is I was like that's bullcrap because I was like I've always liked the color purple, and I was like oh cool. Okay, Google.
I think Google's talking to you.
Oh, that's fucking creepy. Shut up. What is it? Sorry. Google, shut up. Oh, it picked up that's LOL. That's fucking creepy. And it said, I'm sorry. You guys heard it anyway. But no, Mario 3, like just the designs, because they had to revamp everything. They had to like Mario, Luigi, enemies. A lot of the enemies in this game have really cool backstories because it revolves around things that happen in the developers' lives. Like the Chomp Chomps were a part. I think it was Miyamoto had a bad experience with a neighbor dog, so that's where the Chomp Chomps came from.
Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah, the boos were from one of the developers' wives, where she was super shy, but whenever he would come home late, she would like get really mad at him and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that shit's really cool. Just even the naming of like the Koopa Kids and all that stuff too. But I'll have to say, like, this is my favorite Mario. I've always loved this game. I love how it looks like it's a stage play instead of just like a normal game. Sorry, that's gonna probably happen a lot. I'm getting over a cough today, so but no. This game, like I said, do yourself a favor. Like I said, 50 minutes. It's a good little video just to like chill out to, kind of even just have on in the background because you can just kind of listen to everything. But this is a game that when me and my wife finally do have a child, this is one of the first games I'm going to introduce them to it and just let them play it. Like that's one of the reasons like I love having like starting like a video game collection and having a retro pie and all that stuff because I'm going to start my kids off on the games that I started off on. And this will be one of this game will always be in like my top 5 favorite games of all time.
Absolutely.
Like, I love this game. I think I think after all the ports and like all that stuff, I think it's grossed like $30 million total, like with the Game Boy Advance and the Super Nintendo port and like all of the ports. So, but yeah, do yourself a favor, check this out. And I mean, I just want to play this game now. So.
As of 2011, Super Mario Bros. 3 remains the highest-grossing non-bundled home video game to date, having grossed $1.7 billion adjusted for.
That is nuts, man. Fuck. I mean, you even got when you bought the game, you got a note from the developers saying like, "Thank you." Like that shit's awesome. I wish more games would do that. Be like, "Thank you for buying our game. We put a lot of fucking heart and soul in this."
I think the last game that I played that had that. In like a physical copy, because indie developers, you know, they do that, but for like corporations and shit like that, I think CD Projekt Red was the last one to do that for The Witcher 3.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did. It's pretty fucking dope.
That's cool. Just the little small touches like that. The video also goes. I didn't even bring it up. It goes into The Wizard, the movie with Fred Savage. Fred Savage and I don't know the other actors' names, but that's where the whole "it's so bad" with the power glove and all. I have never seen that movie. I've never seen The Wizard.
I've seen clips, and I want to say that was also the first time that I saw Super Mario Bros. 3.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, granted, I probably saw that movie much later, like maybe in like 1992, 93.
I need to go back and watch it. I've never sat down and watched it. So, but I don't know. We'll see. Scotty's probably going to chastise me for that. So, but That's all I got for that. Just go check out the Gaming Historians YouTube channel and check that out. And not only that, there's like tons of other cool. If you like this stuff like we do, you'll
Mhm.
find like this is the type of shit that I can just binge watch all day. I love this stuff.
Yeah, we I like to think we both do, but I enjoy a lot of gaming documentaries,
Mm,
both factual and also opinion based.
right.
So if you ever want like a recommendation on somebody to follow, someone to watch, just
Yeah.
drop it in the Discord, man.
Yeah.
I've got hundreds of them.
I even like Did You Know Gaming? Like I'll watch those videos too. Like
That's where I got started on
that's where
it.
I got started too. Was just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is a Did You Know Gaming about Pokemon or Did You Know
Like
Gaming about
they
Sonic?
started yeah, I think they started off as a Tumblr profile and they'd have like these
Yeah.
little image stills of like did you know X, Y, and Z, and then their first video came out. And I want to say it was a Legend of Zelda. I
You're
want to say that that was
right.
their first one.
I remember
I could be wrong.
seeing those. Like I
Yeah,
saw
yeah, yeah.
those first was Did You Know? And it'd be just one little fact. And then they're like, let's make a
Mhm.
video with all these facts in it. And I think the guy that created that, his name is Shane. And he's part of Normal Boots, I believe. Normal Boots
Yeah,
is
they
like,
came out with a book.
did they?
Yeah,
I
they
need to
came
check
out
that
with a
out.
book, and I think I missed the Kickstarter for that, but
Uh,
uh, it's supposed to be like right on the same level as Pat the NES Punk's Ultimate Guide to Nintendo and
oh,
Ultimate Guide to
nice.
Super Nintendo.
I need to check
It's
that
pretty
out
dope.
then. Yeah. If you do like this video, I don't know if the Gaming Historian has a Sonic one, but he does go into at the end of this video about the console wars. And
Yeah,
if you want to know more about the console wars, you need to check out the novel Console Wars. You got it right there. Who's the art? Who's the Blake J. Harris?
yeah, man.
Yeah, check that book out. If you ever want to see, like, if you ever want to read about some really good information about Sega and Nintendo, that will be your ticket right there. So